What up? What up?
What's going on? What's going on? What's
Back again
happening?
for a new Sunday, dude. Oh man, how's the week been going?
It's been going not too bad. We're on week 2 of no gas, no heat, no hot water, no
What? What's up with that?
the gas leak that I was talking about last week that they had
Oh
at
yeah.
the road.
Oh,
Still working on that. So primitive life, learning how to do things with boiled water and we're not abandoning ship. That's what
yeah.
we're
No,
not.
I've been there, man. Trust me, I've been there. I thought it had something to do with like the executive orders being signed. Like, hey, man, now you don't have any of this stuff, and you're all the way out there.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, man. It's been a heck of a week for me too, man. I was able to. So we started that. I started that new position, that new job. It's a federal job, right? And they allowed me to do some telework. But what I got was, hey, enjoy the telework while it lasts because it's not going to last very long, right? So I was able to telework for like 2 days since I've been at the job, which is it's fine, man. I didn't go in there expecting to do that, right? And I live close to the work anyway, so completely fine. But yeah, I took off on Friday, and had like that rotational day off or whatever. It was good, man. It was good to hang out, go have a free Friday. Just spent it out, with the wife, kind of like a date day, if you will. Yeah, good time, man. Good time. But yeah, man. So there's a lot that's been going on in the U.S. and I think you're muted or something. Are you?
Oh yeah, I'm still muted. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. What were you saying, man?
Tons going on, man. I probably shot you about 100 links this week and multiple screenshots of things.
Yeah, there's been a lot that's been going on, man, and a lot of it has to do with the new administration kind of rattling a little bit of cages, right? And that's okay though. Things need to happen if they need to happen, right? If not, then people need to adjust. Uh, you know, this gentleman was voted in office, so we have to adjust, if you will. Yeah, a lot of things, and a lot of them were, at least the stuff that I was looking up, was a lot of veteran stuff, right? A lot of veteran related issues that may have come about specifically for like homeless issues or like how that's going to be dealt with and all that stuff. Um, Before I go all into that, I want to really just take a quick second to pay some respects to the 3 soldiers on the Black Hawk that went down. That was rough to read about. It was Captain Rebecca Loback, Staff Sergeant Austin O'Hara, and the Chief Warrant Officer 2, Andrew Lloyd Eves. That was rough to hear about. And then the rest of the crew from American Airlines. And then right after that happened, I saw there was like a crash in Philadelphia, in like the streets. It's like I don't know if you've seen the videos of it, John, but it was like a small plane that it looked like a meteor. It was coming down like at an angle. And
Really?
they hit like the side of a building. I mean, there was like ring cameras on people's houses, and they shared those videos. And it was crazy because they're coming out of their house, and they look behind them, and then they just hear a crash, and then just a blast of light. And it looked crazy. Like if you were to encounter that outside, you would think, okay, we're either being attacked or like meteors are flying in from space or something. Insane, dude. But it was almost like back to back. I'm like, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah.
With all these planes. But yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't reached out there to the Italy news or anything. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I saw the one in that happened across the Potomac. It was on the news. I was in somewhere, one of the buildings, and it was on one of the TVs, and I was watching it a little bit, checking it out. But yeah, I didn't hear about the other one. But yeah, it's I hope people don't start blaming that on the election.
Oh. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure something will come about, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, I actually found it here, man. Let me just put this on the screen, dude. This is kind of crazy. Let me share screen. Let's see if I can do this here. Bam. Put this up on there. Yeah, this one's kind of crazy. Let's see if I can turn on the have all my stuff muted. Isn't that crazy? That's insane, dude.
Whoa.
Look at. Tell me that doesn't look like a meteor or something.
Yeah, it came down really fast.
Wow,
That was a
that's
big
insane,
explosion
man.
too for a little bitty airplane. What size airplane did they say it was?
Oh no, I don't even know, man. It was I have no idea. I mean, the rubble was all there. I saw like aerial footage of all the crap all over the streets and stuff. You know, like banged up the side of a building and all that. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy to see. But I mean, almost back to back, right? Like
Yeah.
a day, 2 days went by after one crash and the other crash happens, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on here. Anyhow, yeah. Let me see.
Insane.
You you sent me a link on this thing called Veteran Benefits Knowledge Base, and
Yeah.
I haven't clicked on it, man. But maybe you can tell me a little bit about this thing because I'm
Yes,
curious now.
I was checking out the CivDiv. If you haven't checked out the CivDiv Clay's channel, between him and Jason, they make some of the best VA related videos on the internet, in
Mhm.
my humble opinion. And so I was checking out his channel the other day, and he popped up on there and was he's the one that actually put me onto the veteran AI as well. So I'm keeping eyes on you, Clay, and watching your channel. Just so you know, I might not be on the pro membership, but I am watching the channel and checking it out. But yeah, he popped up on there the other day with this thing. So basically, if you aren't in the veterans Reddit group, they have a big repository of documents and a library of information for veterans benefits, for how to put in a VA claim, how to dispute a claim, how to get DBQs done, like all that stuff that's involved with the VA process, plus anything you want to know about local benefits or benefits at a certain percentage or whatever. Like they have a big repository of information on the Reddit group. And I guess somebody from the Reddit group went ahead and ported that over to a website. So they took all that data, all that information, and put it onto a website so that you can get to it freely accessible. Doesn't cost anything, and it's basically a one-stop shop for everything veterans, like VA disability and veterans benefits and stuff like that. So
And who created this?
one of the guys from the Reddit group, I forget his
Oh,
name,
okay,
might be down here
okay.
at the bottom, but they have, yeah, the veterans benefits subreddits down here in the can I zoom in? Yeah, this
Yeah,
subreddit
if you got his name, man, shout him out.
in
Let him.
Discord. I forget his name. I don't know his name, but I'll
Miscellaneous,
see if I can find
anonymous.
it. But yeah, it's basically a knowledge base, 100% free, no paywall, no nothing like that, and it has everything from the master collection list. So it's basically like the 38 CFR, and if you wanted to find anything, you could just pull this up A to Z. You can search through here, or you can just literally control F and find something. So, and it's got literally everything you could possibly be looking for different kinds of VA disability symptoms or VA things that are VA rateable, like brain cancer, brain tumors. Let's just go to a pretty common one. Let's find one. Cancer of the eye. Let's just scroll down here to the F's. Fifth and sixth cervical. That sounds fun. Let's click on that. So this basically gives you everything from the rating schedule, the different numbers for each one of them. So if you didn't know, in 38 CFR, every ailment, every disability thing that you can get rated for has a number attached to it. So they have different numbers for different rating stuff, and then it gives you all the different um, like middle radicular group, all the rating percentages, what they mean, the descriptions, dominant ratings, non-dominant ratings, all the information. So, and that's just the ratings for one of the things in the list of things out of 38 CFR. If you didn't want to dig through 38 CFR, you can use this and literally just go there, Control F, find what you're looking for, pull it up, and you can kind of build your list out of the things that you're putting together for your VA disability claim. And you'll have all the information there for what you need, what they're looking for, what the doc needs to write down, what he's supposed to be looking for, he or she. So yeah, thanks for throwing that in the chat. Appreciate that.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. That's great information, dude. Like, it's such a pain to try to find this stuff. Like, you're sifting through, like, what is it, the DSM-5, or you're trying to find out, like, what other people have rated. This is awesome. Everything is in one place.
Yeah.
And, so you can just control find, you can click on things. How easy is it now? All it takes is for somebody, the veteran, the service member, to go in there and actually look for their stuff.
Yep.
It's pretty easy to look to post something up on a Facebook group. Hey, how do I do this? Hey, no, you no longer have to do that. Go on there and do the work, put it in there, type it in when you got, add up your own stuff, and see what comes out, see what gets spit out. And I know the VA calculator is a little bit strange, you got to rate like 400% to get 100% or something like that.
Right.
But, at least you have some knowledge here based on, off of this database. That's awesome.
And even this, the federal benefits by combined ratings. So it tells you at 0%, this is what's available to you as a veteran with a 0% rating, all the way up through 100%. Kind of some of the things that we went through in a podcast episode a couple months ago as well. Just some of the federal benefits, but if you scroll down a little bit, I think there's a map down here somewhere for state tuition, state property taxes, which ones have partial, full and partial. So you can just go in here and click on this, I think, maybe, or maybe it's at the top. Let me see.
Does it have anything for overseas? Like if you're living overseas or anything like that?
A lot of that stuff doesn't apply overseas. I think the only overseas places you would get would be the territories in like Hawaii and Alaska would be as far as it goes for out of state or out of the United States proper. So we get a bunch of the federal benefits, but the stateside benefits, I think depending on where you're actually your home of record might be, that might make a difference. So say, for example, if my home of record's South Dakota, I can just click on the South Dakota thing and go to it and find out what my state benefits are. And it'll give me a list of that stuff, right? And that kind of applies to me as I'm overseas still. But we don't have specific benefits that I know of anyway, overseas, outside of what the states offer for people who are residents of those states.
So if you go back really quick, I'm on the page right now, and this is something that I encountered on Facebook recently, was people asking, look, I've applied for so many positions. I'm a veteran. I want to get my foot in with the federal government because, as we know, the federal government has one of the most secure, well, I guess it's a little bit rocky right now, but one of the most secure, paths towards, climbing the federal ladder. And after a while, you get kind of seniority or I don't know, tenure. I don't know what you would call it, but, you're kind of locked into that position after a while. So people are asking, hey, how do I get my foot in the door with a VA position? Because it seems like it's a secret society. Like I got to know somebody. And it's funny he mentions that because I'm like, man, I felt that way too. Like after 85 resumes, I still couldn't get my foot in the door. But there's a link on there. If you go down to education and employment, and I just saw you scroll by, so I quickly clicked on it. Yeah, education and employment. The first one, becoming a VA employee, top right. Yeah.
Yep.
And man, that's just reading through this, like gives you like the VBA, VHA, it gives you some links, I think somewhere. Yeah. USA Jobs, and gives you all the, just a lot of good information it's like a one-stop shop, right? Instead of like sifting around to different places. I think there could probably be a little bit more links to like OPM or something like that. I don't know if it's on here, but frequently asked questions. I guess they're open to messaging as well at the bottom right. So if you want a link on there about OPM or like have questions about how something works, it's as simple as asking the question, right?
Yeah, you just basically redirect you to the Reddit page, and then you can put your question in there on the Reddit page.
Okay. Yeah, so very good resource, man. I'm glad you brought that up. And anybody out there listening, if you have questions about anything related to veterans, right? Veterans disability compensation, death and survivor benefits, education, employment, healthcare, housing, VA pension, and anything miscellaneous like dependents and clothing allowances and divorces and I don't know, anything, space age flights. Hey, this this database is amazing. I wonder how they built this.
They, like I said, they've got that Reddit,
Yeah.
that subreddit that they've used for years, and they've got a bunch of people in there. That's why I was, and maybe it was last year sometime when I first started mentioning the Reddit page. And I know maybe there's a lot of people out there who don't know what Reddit is. Reddit is like this big repository chat kind of thing where you can find answers to questions. It's kind of like Quora, but more regular people, right?
Yeah.
Quora is
Regular
more
people.
like collegiate kind of, and you have to pay for some of the answers. Like Reddit is basically free. You just go in there and you contribute and you ask questions and you answer questions. And it's a big open forum. It's probably one of the bigger social media sites online.
Yeah.
But it's basically a collection of different forums for any kind of topic you could possibly think of. There's a subreddit for military veterans. There's a subreddit for DoD employees. There's a subreddit for cars and coffee in, Augusta, Georgia. There's like subreddits for everything. So you can find your community and your tribe if you're looking for it inside of Reddit. And then they took all that information basically that they've been gathering over years and combined it all together and put it in a nice database and a nice website. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, I applaud them. Very, very awesome. Good database. I'm going to be using it. I know John and I are always trying to educate ourselves on all the new upcoming stuff because, as it does, it changes year to year. And I'm definitely going to be using this stuff to make sure that I have the latest information on veteran benefits and all the stuff we talk about here. And MP, a comment from MP on here. Reddit has a lot of lunatics. Yes, they do. So I might be one of them. I don't know. All right, awesome, man. With that, I know we talked a little bit about it, and we kind of skimmed over it, but VA loans, housing loans, and we have somebody on the line here who is somewhat of an expert on that, or if not an expert on it, because he's been working in that arena for quite some time. A former Marine, I served with this gentleman many years ago while we were at the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. Awesome dude, tells you how it is. Very good, very knowledgeable. Jeremy Dukes, I'm going to bring him up on the stage here. Hey, welcome to the Military Retirement Podcast, Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm good. I appreciate the kind words. They're all lies.
They're all lies.
It's not as smart as you might think, but no, I really appreciate it. Thanks for bringing me on, guys.
No, absolutely, man. So, tell me, so you're currently a realtor. I mean, I'm reading your tagline there, Realtor, Dwell Dallas Realtors LLC. Tell me a little bit about that, man. How'd you go from, the military? What was your natural progression to becoming a realtor?
It definitely had its ups and downs. I mean, as you know, Miramar was my last duty station, and getting out, and we talked a little bit about it last night, but the transition getting out, you kind of lose that purpose on what you were serving, on what you were doing. We all picked our job. Maybe you didn't pick your job. It was given to you random, but you had a purpose. You had some sort of camaraderie, and you had something, a mission to go through. Getting out, I still wanted to be involved with veterans. So I worked at a university kind of as an enrollment advisor for a couple of years in San Diego. And decided to take the family to Texas. When I got here, I fell into, HOA management, trying to find a career, something that I would enjoy. And I think that's really where the kick for real estate ignited. Being around landscapers, being around builders, being around developers, and kind of seeing communities get built. That kind of was the spark. And for me personally, when I came to Texas, told myself I wanted to own a home. I just never thought I was going to ever own a home. Maybe didn't look into it. Maybe I wasn't educated enough on the process, but I did, and I enjoyed the process. I thought to myself, this could be something that really could help others. who think it's a little bit more complicated, who thinks it's a heavy burden, because it's not every day that you have $300,000 and $400,000 just in your back pocket. You know, it's a big financial decision that you make, but everybody,
That's right.
maybe not everybody, but ideally to have something that's yours, that's that valuable, as whether it be an investment property or the place you can call home, that's really what drives me, you know, to help others. Because I never thought I was going to own a home. And when I did, fell into HOA management, like I said, pivoted into a different career, kind of in the quote unquote corporate world, stepped away for a little bit, fell into auto parts, and was sent to a different market without my kids. So a couple years without the kids reminded me of a deployment. You know, yeah, we had FaceTime and things like that. So decided to
It's
come
not the
back
same,
to
though, huh?
Texas. Yeah, it was. I mean, you can only do so much, right? You start
That's
missing
right.
your daughter dances, and so when your priorities change, and you know, I never thought I would want to climb the corporate ladder, but when I did, and I lost, you know, that connection with my kids, I decided to make another move. So when I came back, I decided I wanted to get my real estate license. Got the license, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've made, because there's so much that goes into it. Connecting the dots with the HOA management, you're not just managing a community. I mean, you're building connections, you're building relationships, and trying to maintain that community. You know, whether it be landscapers that are, you know, fixing the green spaces, the pool management company. You know, they all have a goal, and you know, you're kind of the connector, and that's really what I enjoy.
Right.
The marketing piece of it is nice. The, you know, selling and buying the houses for folks is nice, but I really, when it comes down to it, it's the relationships that I build, and the true appreciation, kind of getting refocused on a purpose, having an impact in the community. So that's really what I enjoy. Dwell Dallas is really great because a broker, you know, if you're not aware, you have to be sponsored by a broker to carry the license, and she's great. You know, she allows us to essentially spread the wings as far as you want to take it, as little as you want to take it, right? You know, which is nice.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I want to ask, man, because like I bought my house out here in Cali, and I specifically wanted to work with a veteran realtor, right? So I sought out, like I asked questions around Facebook, like I looked through things, you know, through different places, and I actually stumbled upon my realtor that helped me out at the Marine Corps Air Station Air Show. He had a stand on there, and I did a those little wheel spinning things, and I won a wooden flag, you know, a Marine Corps wooden flag. And I was like, hell yeah, you know, you gave me a flag, I'm going to give you my business, man. This is cool. And
Right.
he just seemed, you know, we hit it off, you know, really well. So I'm like, hey, look, I'm looking for a house, man. You know, can you help me out with that? And so we just kind of hit it off. But it seems like when I put it out there for, you know, on Facebook and all that, like, hey, I'm looking for a house. Anybody know any good realtors? Dude, my inbox was flooded with like, hey, heard you're looking for a house. Heard you look. It seems so like, I mean, maybe this is the wrong term to say, but it seems so cutthroat, man. Like the real estate business, because it's so saturated with realtors, right?
Yeah.
Is it still a good idea? I mean, you've got your foot in the door already. You got connections. Like right now, is it still a good idea for somebody getting out to go into the realtor business?
I mean, it really depends on your goals. I mean, and you touched on some good points that I agree with. I compare it to lawyers. I mean, you know, us being paralegals, and you know, I know you went the warrant officer route, but when we worked with those lawyers, when I was in, I was like, yeah, I wonder what it would be like to be a lawyer. So for a snippet of maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks, I was talking to my buddy Phil about it at that time, studying for LSAT and being a lawyer. But San Diego was so saturated with lawyers. You know, is it worth getting your law degree and spending over $100,000 on your, you know, student loans and whatnot just to earn a job that's 60, 70 grand, maybe working at the public defender's office, right? Agents, not just here. It's not just San Diego. I would say it's funny when I do see Facebook posts, hey, I'm looking for a realtor, and it kind of is like whack-a-mole. People come up, and if I see 50 or 60 comments already, I just keep scrolling, right? If I see maybe 5 or 6, I'll throw my name out there, but that's not how. I don't think that's a smart way to earn business. It's a good way to, maybe somebody does catch your eye or you stand out, or if you're just plopping your business card down, you're just another dime a dozen, right? But if you're sincere in the words that you post, and when you're replying, maybe there's a chance that somebody catches your eye. But I think the best way to grow is just organically involving yourself in the community, kind of like the air show thing. That's a pretty cool idea to attract some military folks. So I guess simply to answer your question, I mean, to be a real estate agent, it requires a lot of skills that maybe you think that you don't have, but you do have. I mean, it is a little cutthroat, but I think one thing that I took away from this, I went to a conference in New York. It was a real estate conference in Manhattan, and one of the speakers, this line is going to stick with me for a while. This is the only industry where your competition are the people that you depend on the most. And maybe an example. So you're working with another realtor, right? Like, right now I've got a couple buyer clients, and I love working with seller agents that are communicative, that are, eager to tell me about the property, tell me about the owner. The information is not something that should be hidden. Tell me about why they're selling. I love that. I love that question. Why are they selling? Because I can relay that to my buyer. We can work as a team together to get a house sold. They have a goal. They want to sell their house. We have a goal. We want to buy the house, right? And it's just, you got to meet you got to find that gap, right?
Right.
And what's in between is kind of when you're working with an agent that's very, very good. I mean, most recent transaction, girl named Leslie Murillo. She's not with my brokerage, but just connecting with her and working with her and her buyers. Her buyers are already gone in Georgia. So it's she was the face of the house, right? And it was great working with her. But on the other hand, you might have an agent that you kind of slow to respond to emails, not really eager to get the inspection scheduled, etc. Right? So I would say, if you really want to kind of use your skills of communication, and if you're not shy, if you're an introvert, that's fine too. But I guess you kind of have to, getting back to the auto parts, being a district manager, you kind of have to be able to just open the door and talk to anybody on the fly. And I think military members have some skills that, are maybe not as noticeable. How you carry yourself, how you speak, and the confidence you can bring when you walk into a room, when you walk into an open house, or when you have a listing appointment. Earlier you said, you give it, I can kind of give it to people straight. But again, it goes back, having an honest agent that you can depend on, someone that's not going to pull wool over your eyes, is something that, again, integrity in the Marine Corps and all military branches is something that's huge. So.
Yeah. You got to make your presence known, man. Like, I'll give you an example, man. I walked into Panera this past week. My kid had a little coupon. I opened the door and called attention on deck, and everybody was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm just kidding. I didn't do that. I'd be the type to do that, though.
You would.
I should probably.
I think you would.
I'm gonna put that in my back pocket, man. I'm gonna try that out. Attention on deck.
You should.
I like Barnes and Noble or something.
Right, just randomly, just do it.
Yeah, right? Man. Why not? Keep people on their toes, right? Hey, be aware of your surroundings, right? I just helped you.
Yeah, it just helps you.
Oh man.
But also, like, in the same line, what you were talking about, the being a real estate agent versus being a broker versus being if you're doing commercial real estate, if you're doing residential real estate, and then there's all kinds of little subsections of each one of those things. Like, you can actually, there's so many different little niches that you can segment out of real estate. Like, for example, when people pass away, estate management and trying to figure out how to best serve the family to give them exactly what they need to get out of that piece of real estate that they may have inherited, and dealing with the taxes and all the escrows and all that stuff that goes along with it. Plus, it goes state by state, it varies a lot, right? So there's a whole bunch of different little levels built into that, buried underneath of real estate as the umbrella, right?
No, you're right. And I mean, there's farm and land, there's commercial, there's folks that specialize in veteran homes only, home
Yep.
loans. They only work with veterans, or your farm and land is completely different. Commercial is completely different than residential. I mean, I mostly transact in the residential world, and you're not wrong in those. Suddenly people pass away and they need someone to help them, get rid of a property. If you're going through a divorce, right? That's a piece of property, that's a piece of investment that's got to get split up, and having someone there to kind of guide you through the process. Now, let's be clear. You can go on Realtor or Zillow and find a house yourself.
Yeah.
But it's the little niches that I think an agent can find value in to truly help somebody, whether it be a contract review, negotiation, marketing their property, dealing with the phone calls, dealing with the emails, the text. And those buyers, those sellers, they have jobs too. That the job of an agent. I guess the comparison I could give, could you go through a divorce representing yourself? Yeah, you could, right? Absolutely. You could do the research yourself, you could speak, but a lawyer is they're an officer of the court. And I kind of compare being an agent as similar to that. We're an officer of the real estate world, and so by all means, you can sell your house yourself, you can buy your house yourself. That's perfectly fine. But an agent is there just to protect everyone involved. But for me, my goal is to help. And a lot of veterans don't know how powerful a VA loan is. You come across somebody that has a VA loan, it's 100% guaranteed. There's no PMI needed to be attached to it, which is your private mortgage insurance.
That's huge.
A lot of times you can get zero down. For me personally, the only thing I had to pay was the earnest money, which is essentially a percentage of the property price that you're buying to essentially save the property while they go through the motions of inspections and appraisal. And then for VA home loans, veterans get a VA inspector. It's not some Joe Schmo down the street.
Yep.
I made the mistake of trying to buy a property. The VA inspector came in and said, "Nope, we're not approving you for this. The foundation was messed up. Some of the stuff wasn't approved by the city. We're not approved. You're more than welcome to go after it if you want, but conventional loan or FHA loan, but that requires a little bit more down payment.
Yeah.
Changes the interest rate, but so they protect their veterans too. And then there's just maybe a lower interest rate as well."
So Jeremy, I got a quick question on this, man. So for instance, like I bought a place here and I'm looking to get into more real estate, right? How many times can I use the VA loan?
If you're currently sitting on a VA loan in your property, if you want to go buy another property, you'd essentially have to get rid of that VA loan, sell your property.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah, you can only use it once. Now, not once in a lifetime. You can sell and then buy a new home under a VA loan, but you can't have two standing properties with two VA loans, yourself.
Is it because it has to be your primary property?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if, say, my wife is a veteran, can she buy a VA? Can she use her VA loan to purchase another property? I guess the issue would be has to be a primary property.
Well,
so I may have to kick her
the
out the house a little bit.
Curveball on that is your current property. If it is under you and your wife's name.
Current one, yeah.
Yeah, and so you use your VA home loan, not hers. She could use hers.
Okay. So I might have to boot her out a little bit and just tell her, hey, go live in this house for a year and then
make it I don't know. After 18 years, she would allow you to do that, brother.
Oh, I don't know, but hey, it's for the good of the family, right?
Right. Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a curveball to that where you kind of can get around it, but that's where lenders come into play too. Speaking earlier about being an expert in the field, I hate to say that I'm an expert in the field. I'd love to say that I have a team of people around me that I can lean on. I can answer your lender questions, but I'd rather direct you to this person over here, who I trust will give you the right answer and look out for your well-being. that's where I lean on the lender. That's where I sometimes will lean on a broker, and also lean on, inspectors or contractors. I've had contractors come out and say, this right here is going to be an issue. But I've got a buyer that really wants this property. He can provide estimates on repairs. He can provide estimates on how big of an issue it really is. Those are the experts in their field. So it's not just you. And it goes, veterans that want to become real estate agents. I mean, again, it goes back to that team mentality where you depended on others, to help you get across the finish line.
Right. So then, I guess how the question of a credit score came to my mind here. If I don't know, I don't know what the lowest credit score somebody can get is, but let's say somebody has, I don't know, what 300 credit score or something. Maybe they weren't led efficiently or effectively by their staff NCO, and they never did a financial worksheet on this Marine or soldier or whoever. And this guy gets out, he wants to go buy a house for $250,000 in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and he has this low credit score. Can he or she still get a VA loan with that low of a credit score?
You can't. Nothing's impossible, right? I never thought that I was going to be able to own a home because I was one of those that didn't make correct financial decisions. We spoke about this story last night. I mean, one of those Marines, what's his name? Connor, I think.
We don't got to call him out.
No, I don't want to. That's not his real name. I was going to come.
We're live, Jeremy.
No. It's just I didn't make great financial decisions. Coming up, and had to basically recover, right? And it's not a bad story. It was more along the lines of he asked, a question, and we had to, got to give him some guidance, right? Some good guidance.
That's right.
And so, but sometimes, like you said, sometimes you don't have that good guidance, and that's where that's kind of where I was at. I made not great financial decisions. I want to say, typically a credit score should be around 620, right? And
Okay.
620, but there are some lenders that that can get you approved in mid 500s, high 500s. But
so it depends on the lender then.
It depends on the lender, but then it also depends on your credit score. So it's a combination of both. I would say more so prepare your credit score to be in the mid 6s minimum. Because obviously there's 3 credit reports out there. One could be a little higher, one could be a little lower.
That's right.
Out there. The other factor for really any loan is your debt to income ratio. At the time, I didn't have much debt. It was really my score that I was really worried about, and then how much would I need to put down. And then the other piece of it is the reason I say it could, because there's grants out there, for veterans that if you are in one of those situations that maybe your credit score is not great, you don't have a lot of liquid. There are some state grants, especially Texas is huge for veterans as far as Texas grants, state grants. There's even cities now that are offering grants. City of Arlington, Grand Prairie, they're offering grants to move into their city. Arlington's the home of the Texas Stadium, Cowboy Stadium. So, getting people into that area is obviously what, for the city's benefit. So I would say nothing's possible, but generally the borders, the bumpers, get your score minimum in the mid 6s, and you shouldn't really have an issue there. And then get your debt down.
I've seen a lot of ads come up on, like when I'm on social media, when I'm online, says like move to Maine or move here. Like we'll give you either veteran friendly or we'll give you land, or I can't recall what the ads say, but they're really pushing for people to move to these places. And I mean, they're kind of like out in almost nowhere, right? I mean, have you seen any of those? Like, have they ever come on your radar? Like, hey, move here. I know they're probably trying to build up their population or something, but I don't know that I would move out there. Like, have you seen anything like that?
It's funny you say Maine, because Maine is actually just this past summer we buried my Nana. Well, she passed away a few years ago, but we spread her ashes over there in Maine. Beautiful place. But I've seen North Dakota, like on TV, like move to North Dakota, South Dakota. But Yeah, they're trying to get their population up. They're trying to get their housing market. One thing I did learn, going through the real estate class, is how powerful the real estate market really is. It's almost comparable to oil and gas in America. Um, it can affect the stock market. It can affect locally. It can affect, Texas or in really any state. So
Yeah.
if you have a strong real estate market, commercial, land, residential, that specific economy can be affected good and bad, up and down. If you look at some of the places where the real estate market is, a lot of businesses are moving, where it's not great. A lot of businesses are moving out of there.
Yeah.
And it has
I've
nothing to
seen
do
that.
with, it has nothing to do with, political party or anything. There's businesses that are moving a lot of time. I think I saw something the other day about tech moving to Texas, or
Awesome. Yeah.
or Hollywood being the new, or Texas being the new Hollywood, right? Or Vegas. But yeah, no, I've seen where people are trying to advertise to get you to move to their state.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta be honest, man. I was looking into it. I was like, oh man, if they're gonna give me this chunk of land over in Maine for a couple of cents on the dollar, I might have to entertain that. The wife might not be happy, but
Right.
I'll, I'll be living large out there. I don't know for how long, but I'll be living large.
No, it's definitely. It comes at a cost, and maybe not liquid costs, but what kind of entertainment are you going to have? What kind of airports are going to be there? What kind of neighborhood are you going to be living in, right?
It's all about the neighborhood and the schools, right? But
Well,
me, I can.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be the neighborhood, the schools. But as far as like moving to these, North Dakota type states, that's great. You're gonna have 10 acres of land and a piece of property. That's great. And your primary job maybe be, farming, right? Hundreds and hundreds of acres. There's pockets in cities and stuff like that as well. But
yeah, dude, I can sit on my porch and whittle wood all day, dude. Do not test me. Do not test me. I did that in North Carolina wife was pissed. She's like, do you do anything else? I'm like, I just want to whittle this sword, this knife. That's all I whittle is knives.
Crazy. But yeah, that's like a derivative of like what they do with like you mentioned, the companies. Like they did that with the film industry in Atlanta and Georgia a few years back, where they offered up a bunch of tax incentives and stuff like that, because everybody knows like Southern California is where the movie industry is, but Southern California is also like the highest taxes in the whole country, and there's all kinds of regulation and all kinds of da-da-da. Then you go to Georgia and Atlanta, and there's not much regulation, and it's it's a big city, and it has its perks as a big city, but also it's like if you get a big tax break and they offer you a certain amount of money on the dollar per square foot of land or whatever, if they have big huge airplane hangars or something like that they can lease to you or sell to you, it makes sense, right? You just move your operation and you cut your costs in half just by slashing off the taxes and things like that over so many years. So I guess it kind of trickles down to the consumer market with houses and moving out to, they do a lot of that overseas for people who are doing remote jobs or want to be digital nomads. They'll offer you, like, if you pay the government like 10,000 euros or whatever it happens to be, and they'll give you the visa where you can stay there and work there and live there, and the cost of living is considerably less than it is in most places in the States.
Yeah, and here, you obviously get tax breaks as well with your housing and your interest and your the taxes that you do pay. There's also the homestead exemption for veterans, and really everybody that lives here in Texas, you apply for a homestead exemption, which can lower your property taxes. But then turn around, come tax season, you also get a credit, from your tax. And I've heard, side note, I've heard that, I've thought about this, living overseas and living in Europe or any really overseas, where it's just a different cost, much lower cost of living, where you could honestly live off maybe $1,000 US a month in one of these exotic places. It's really something that I've thought about, and maybe 15 years when the kids are grown. But
dude, you and me both, man. Trust me, you and me both.
I think about Greece and just waking up to that view, right?
Yep.
There's
a
girl on social media that I can't remember her name. She documented, it was like last year, she documented, she was so scared to make the move. She's a remote worker,
Yeah.
She made the move, her and her daughter, and really all she does now, she just wakes up at a different time to, cooperate with the American job that she has.
Yeah.
And she said it was the best decision she ever made. I mean, the food is more natural, the
Yeah.
housing
Yeah. It really is.
great. Yeah, you go a lot farther with your dollar.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a buddy of mine, a fellow Chief Warrant Officer, Marine Chief Officer, who moved out to Ecuador with his wife. His kids are already grown, and he
Yeah.
moved out to this little town in Ecuador where his wife is from. And man, just from what I understand, he his retirement pay alone covers his housing, his car, and a maid to clean his house like 3 times a week,
Yeah.
and a chef if he doesn't want to cook, they'll just hire somebody to cook for him.
He's living
Over
large.
in Ecuador. Yeah, it's crazy, man. How far your money goes out in these places. Whereas now, I can't even find damn eggs at the store.
Oh, don't get started on the egg conversation. A friend of mine, he has a Koopa. He owns a Koopa chickens, and like I'm selling them $1,000.
Oh.
Wow.
The hell?
They're not really selling them, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's you're right. It's crazy. It's in the market. I mean,
Yeah.
grocery store this morning, and
Yeah.
wait, what did I just buy? I only got 2 bags.
Yeah, and you gotta take out a loan just to buy some groceries now.
Right.
Yeah. So Jeremy, I wanted to ask, man, given all these, everything that's going on, executive orders and all this stuff that's getting signed, is there any effect on your business, like on VA loan or the VA or home loans or anything like that maybe veterans out there should know of?
Veterans are probably one of the most protected class as far as shielding from a lot of a lot of the executive orders. The one comment that was made to me the other day at a kind of a roundtable conversation was maybe some federal grants might get slashed. That doesn't mean that they're not out there. That just means that lenders are going to have to work a little harder, maybe get the grants, maybe do a little bit more research, maybe with the city, with the state that you live in. Instead of it being a federal grant, it could be a state grant, and it could be a grant for specifically veterans. I mean, I'm looking, and I've looked before, but Texas offers grants for veterans on top of your federal grant that you could get when you're applying for a loan if you qualify for it, if you're eligible for it. I would say housing market is another one that's pretty protected as well right now. I mean, DFW is probably one of the hotter markets for 2025. When I had conversations with folks last winter, October, November, December timeframe, there's the same objection or thought. Last year, elections happen every 4 years, obviously, but it was the election. I want to wait until the election. I want to wait to sell and buy, so just kind of sitting, seeing what happens.
Right.
Holidays come. Oh, I want to wait till the holidays, which is, you got a lot going on. You got family coming in. That doesn't mean that houses can't be bought or sold during the holidays, but a lot of times folks wait to see what happens. January, February. January is a little slower, but February's already, as far as projections, it's supposed to be picking up and then going into 2025. I think real estate as well is one of those markets that, if you're an investor, not a real estate investor, but just in the market, have a 401k or generally have some individual stocks, if you're one of those, it's always going to go up. As far as like the stock market, 20 years ago, it was down. 30 years ago, it was down. 20 years ago, it was 2005. I'm getting old. So when I said 20, I was thinking like the 80s.
2008.
Yeah.
Oh, you was thinking about the 80s. Wow, yeah.
I mean, in my head, I'm like, okay, stock market in
just switch numbers around.
Low, right? Yeah. But no, I mean, stock market can go up and down, but over a 10-year window, 5-year window, it's always projected up. Same thing with real estate, and same thing with veterans in particular. Veterans are very, very protected, especially in a friendly state like Texas. Then you got Florida, you mentioned Georgia. Those are all friendly states for veterans. And, just being a vet alone, I think the biggest thing is a lot of vets don't know the benefits that are out there for them. And
that's the big thing.
I mean, I told you this last night. I'll tell you to everybody, what you're doing here is great. I think getting the word out there every single week and having conversations about the benefits that are out there And just, even sidebar conversations. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Opinions. I have these conversations with folks, some long-term close friends where you're just driving home and you're just having chuck it up conversations, and kind of getting to know and building a relationships. And I think that's where the audience here can pick up, man. And when I saw it, when you and I connected again, I thought it was something amazing that you guys are doing here. Just talking about the
Awesome,
benefits.
man. Yeah, it's funny how it works. Huh? It's like we served in Miramar so many years ago,
I know.
and how things just, over time, you go different routes, go different ways, and you just come back to that meeting point, right? The starting point. And yeah, you may be in Texas. Yes, I may be in California, but you still meet somewhere down the road years later. And just our conversation last night, John, I know you weren't on the line with us, but I called Jeremy directly just to kind of let him know, like, hey, here's how the podcast usually works. And we just hit it off again, like we were like, back in the day, and just, talking about the good old times, like the Marine that he had, who was a knucklehead, and we would just laugh it up, yeah, it's fun how that works, man. And I thoroughly enjoy that stuff, and connecting with folks from the past, because then you have those connections, you have those memories, right? And you don't want to lose that stuff. And it's good to have people like that in your circle too.
No, yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, you were telling me that you and John, John's overseas and you guys are connected, but in today's world, it's funny. I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning about kids in this generation, right? They're, always in their rooms, or, they lose that connection with the outside world.
Yeah.
But I promise you, when we were growing up, if we had this kind of technology to connect with folks, we would probably be using it as well. So you can connect with anybody, really, whether it be virtually, meeting. Who knows? We might not ever meet face to face, but this right here is something that I think a lot of times veterans fall into a trap of. Getting back to when I transitioned out, you lose that purpose, you lose that connection with folks, you lose that kind of everyday joking. We said last night, Miramar's where the cool kids go, and we ended up there, and it was a good time. It was fun. It was great, But I reconnected with a veteran actually when the Eagles were in the playoffs. I texted him. I'm like, hey man, I'm thinking about you, and it was cool. We reconnected over text. We didn't call, but still, it's not. And then from that point on, it's random text here and there. How you doing? Hey, this and that. So, it really is cool. And that's, kind of getting back to being an agent. If you want to have connections with folks that you just may stick with you for a long time, this is a really cool industry where you can come across so many different types of people and help in so many different ways. People ask if I can help with apartments. I can't. Well, I can in a certain extent, but still, I'm generally following up. Hey, moving from Chicago to here. Hey, how's your trip? How's your traveling? How's your moving? And it's nice to just people, the feeling of having someone thinking about you, especially veterans, is something that I think transitioning out, it's like you were just a number. When it's not, you can still do those things.
Right.
Especially in a forum like this, man. It's really great.
Yeah. It's also like what you said and what you mentioned in the beginning as well. It's like that one-on-one connection with somebody. Like I guess it was 2 days ago at work, I literally spent the whole first half of my day like talking with two individuals, that one I've talked to before and one I've talked to maybe once or twice, and literally sat down. And then right after that had lunch with one of my classmates over, one of the projects that we're doing. We sat down and we literally had lunch and talked for an hour before we even discussed the class at all. And it's like building those connections and building that kind of rapport with somebody it goes a long way, because you never know where that second and third connection lies beyond them and the person that you're, having the conversation with, that maybe it's just because you just happen to click on one thing and you started talking about it, and then you went your separate ways. And then a week later or 2 weeks later, or a month later, they introduce you to somebody else who then broadens your network. It's just this really weird kind of network effect that happens. And I feel like now that I'm a little bit older, now that I can slow down a little bit and process things a little bit and doing things like this, it's like really being able to just build those one-on-one connections with folks, even if it's virtual like this. Like I would love one day for us to be able to sit in a room and do this live in person with anybody across the world, but that transportation like that doesn't exist yet. So we'll have to settle for this. But yeah, I feel like those one-on-one connections, and that's why that's one of the reasons why we do this as well, is like we're trying to build the muscle memory of doing this every single week. We bring some new people on and we have conversations with ourselves. I mean, me and Vic over the last year and some change, right? We've spent probably more time talking to each other than we have a lot of other people in our circles, you know, over dozens of years. So, and the things that we've connected with and then connected beyond that, the second and third order and fourth order layers of people beyond that is just, it's wild how it works. And so I figure like that's really, and also what you said about being patient, and it just takes time to building things organically. Like it's not trying to go viral. It's not trying to put an ad out there and get, 100,000 eyeballs on it. It's like trying to help one person at a time and then build that trust over time. And that really sets the foundation for a really successful anything, whether it's real estate, whether it's, art collecting or selling cars or selling car parts or whatever. Like that's how you build your business, and that's how you build your network, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Not just network in real estate, but network. I mean, more importantly, is the relationships that you carry through. You're always a leader in whatever industry you're in. And I think again with the veterans, you're always a leader. You're always affecting change with somebody or affecting them somehow, some way. You just never know who's watching and who you're affecting. Somebody called me out the blue, and they wanted to quit their job that they had been at for 20 years, and I had maybe a 3-month relationship with them. We had come across and we had lost contact, but he texted me. I'm like, oh, this is not him, and we talked it out for about 30 or 40 minutes while I'm driving to work, and he was like, man, I'm really glad I talked to you, because I was seriously about to send my resignation in, right? And it's like I would have never known that my 3 months there had that kind of effect where he would say something like that to me. And the other piece of it is it's the penny effect. Double a penny every single day. By day 15, I mean, you only got like $15 or whatever the math is. I think it's like 80 or something like that. By day 30, I don't know what the real math is, but I think it's over $1 million, right? If you just continue to double and continue to double, now you're not going to, double every single day, right? It's a 0.25% better, or 1% better, or 1% effect. The effect you have on folks is it's long reaching. And, folks should never forget their purpose, especially, veterans, but really anybody. The person that called me that I just spoke about, he's not a veteran. He was a civilian. And it wasn't about military. So that's really
Jeremy,
what I always remember.
I wanted to ask you about your journey from military to civilian, right? I know that's something we usually get into on the podcast. Yeah. Just wanted to see how it went for you. Like you left the military, you left the Marine Corps. We talked a little bit about your transition, the TRS Transition Readiness Seminar, how it was like a week long, and it sounded like you got a lot of good information out of that. So how did that go from being in uniform to almost a week later, or a month later, being a full-on civilian?
Yeah, I mean, my career as a Marine, I thought I was going to be a lifer. I mean, me and my buddy is still in. Guy I've known since middle school. I mean, you don't have relationships like that very often. You don't hear about stuff like that, but we've known each other now for probably almost 30 years. We joined together, same boot camp, and we saw ourselves as the face of a poster child of the Marine Corps. I mean, forgive me for cussing, my ass belonged to the U.S. government and the U.S. Marine Corps, and that's how I felt. I felt like I was a water walker, and at certain points I was. And you go into that knowing that this is what I'm going to do forever. This is going to be my life: moving, hiking, Marines, etc. Right? All the good jazz. And during my time, there was some ups and downs. So when I got out, it was one of those situations where, what do I do now? Because I was so hyper focused on being the best that I could, being the best.
Right.
And, you know, had some you know, performance issues where it just snowballed, where it got worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And getting out, I was kind of in that mindset where I'm like, you know what, this, you kind of get out on bad terms.
Right.
Because it's not the plan that I thought I was going to have. I thought I was going to be there for 20, 25, 30 years. And in the same breath, my buddy and I, talking about retiring, he's a chief loan officer, transitioning to retirement. Him and I have those, higher level conversations about what are you going to do? Because his job is not necessarily transitionable to civilian. I mean, it could be, right, in certain industries, but it won't be what he's doing exactly. I mean, the knowledge that the kid has is amazing for his field. But when I stuck with the university that I had joined to help veterans, get into education. High school, I was kind of a knucklehead, and I think I just got better as I got older, right?
Yeah, man, the natural progression.
Earned a couple, earned bachelor's degree, master's degree, all with VA benefits.
Right.
Ran out of some, and then there were some student loans out there as well. But high school, there's a reason why I wanted to get out of Baltimore, right? And joined the Marine Corps. ASVAB wasn't great, I wasn't the smartest kid. But then earning my bachelor's degree, grades got better. Master's degree, grades got better. And so when you have those things where you're naturally progressing into something, the drive starts to come back. And so as I was furthering my education at that university, I was still around vets, and it was nice. It was cool. We were still chucking up. But really, the transition was when I got out of that military town, San Diego, and I moved to Texas, and I didn't have anybody there. Literally, it was all my ex's family that was around there. And so I really focused on my kids because there were times where it was just me and them. When they weren't around, that's where the mind starts to race about what am I doing? You go down that black hole. Sometimes people grab their vices and they turn to alcohol, they turn to et cetera, just to numb. You think you're numbing something away when it's really not the case.
Right.
I really had to figure out what my focus was going to be, and so I just said my focus is on my kids and success. What does success look like? It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever painting. And so when I finally got myself out of that hole of kind of, I guess, feeling sorry for myself. No, the consequences and the choices that you made led you to where you're going to go. And I think the big man upstairs, he already knows our path, where we're going. We just don't know it yet. So enjoy today and do what you want to do today, because you think you're going to have a plan like me. I had a plan to stay in for 20 years. It didn't. That wasn't the case. And here I am today as a realtor. And I think what helped me transition was finding a focus. And I think if you can't find anything that you're focused on, whether it's career-wise, there's always family. And then family doesn't necessarily need to be blood. It can be friends. I consider the guy that I've known since middle school, he's kind of a brother of mine, right? Not just in the Marine sense, but I've known the kid for freaking 30 years, so I can lean on him. I can call him right now, and we can just chuck it up about whatever, and it's great. And so you're always going to have those support systems. You just got to go out there and find it. And so my transition, I guess, the long breath wind of it is I had to find a focus, and I didn't know what to do. So I focused on my kids, and then I fell into HOA management. And then I painted the picture of success where I call it, I want freedom to, on a Thursday night, say, hey, let's book a trip, Turks and Caicos or an island or Florida, Disney World. Go ahead. Yeah, just book it. No worries whatsoever. And I'm not, I don't say money buys happiness, but it does make the world go round. And if you want to do some things and build some memories, success can be painted in many different ways. I think I had a conversation with the kids the other couple months ago. I would rather build memories with them than have gifts given for birthdays, Christmases, etc. And I'm not against gifts, and that's what somebody wants to do is perfectly fine. Kids deserve to have cool things too. but again, it's changing the mindset of, I want them to remember certain things. You know, the toy that I step on every single night, the Lego that I step on, you know, that's going in the trash after a couple of years, right? But the memories are forever.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of my transition out is, you know, when you lose focus, you pretty much have to live with whatever decisions, whatever consequences you've made, because that's led you to where you are today. Good, bad, and different. And my number one focus was the kids. And then I painted a picture of what success looks like to me. And that's really what helped me kind of get out of that hole.
That's excellent, man. Because a lot of folks don't have that focus, right? It's scattered, right? Like what's my next focus going to be after I leave? Because it's so mission oriented when you're in uniform, and now it's like, where do I actually like point my life to now? Right? It's hard to pinpoint that. Like, John, I don't know if you saw the this LinkedIn post I just put up there, but I shared something like kind of reintroducing myself on LinkedIn to a lot of folks. And my focus, since I couldn't find mine after I left the military, I put on there, I sat at the park and I just drew people's portraits for a month because I enjoy that stuff. For a month, that was my purpose, right? My kids would go to school. I didn't want to be home alone. You know, my wife would go to work. You're on terminal leave. It's like, I need to find something to do with my day because I can't just sit here and sit in my thoughts, right? So you got to go out and do something. That was my outlet. So it's great that, Jeremy, that you found your focus. You know, you pinpointed that at your kids and you focus on that to kind of keep your momentum going from uniform to civilian. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I tell them this a lot, where everything I do is for them. And I used to make that excuse, you know, when I was in, you know, Oklahoma for a short bit, where I'm doing this for the short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. And I mean, that's great and all to say it, but
Right.
I'd rather be with them experiencing these things. And that was kind of a sacrifice that, you know, I had to basically live with. And again, going to those decisions, those consequences. There was a moment when I left that company that I was like, man, this is probably one of the worst career decisions I've ever made. You know, because yeah, it's great and we're doing these things, but I'm not with them every day.
Right.
And like I said, I think one of the best decisions I made was to become, you know, a real estate agent, and it allows me to spend time with the kids. I brought Bella on a couple open houses. It allows them to be involved in the business.
Yeah.
And I've had conversations with them, and, you know, Kayla, she wants to be a police officer. David, he wants to be, you know, he thinks he's the next LeBron James, and that's fine, you know, but I'm experiencing those things, those day-to-day things. Bella, she wants to follow in her sister's footsteps, and God forbid she said she wanted to be a Marine the other day, and I said, no, please don't.
Yeah. I've had that conversation before. Trust
Look,
me.
I don't mind joining the military, but I'm like, now it's my girl, right? And I'm like, I don't want someone yelling at you like I got yelled at. But you know,
Yeah.
time for her to make the right decision.
Yeah, and that's the tough part because you want to support your kids, right? And my daughter came up to me with the same thing. She wanted to join the military at one point in time, and I was like, hey, and she's like, hey, what if I join the Marines? I'm like,
Yeah,
please don't. I'm like, finish your college first.
right.
Not to say that there's anything bad about the Marines. Of course, I love the Marine Corps, right?
Oh
I just
yeah.
know you know, you as well as I know, you know, the type of, or all of us really, that type of, you know, games people play when you're a young, you know, enlisted or whatever the case may be. And I didn't want my own kid to go through that herself, right? So it's kind of hard to steer him towards that. But I'm like, hey, maybe think about the Air Force, maybe think about the
Yeah, right.
Navy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
maybe not the Marine Corps.
Yeah. John, did he tell you he was one of the worst ones? The H word us a lot. I mean, he was a killer. Don't let this calm, cool, collected Victor fool you. No, I'm just kidding.
What are you talking about? He's a retired Marine of the Quarter. What are we talking about here?
I saw that. I saw that. I mean,
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna
uh,
put my command photo just in my regular shirt, and I'm just gonna slide it. And when I go to work and all that stuff on base, I'm just gonna slide it right there next to CO and all that.
right, you should.
Nobody's gonna notice.
No, 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 no. No one will notice. Not at all. But no, I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where the military is I think, I mean, an opinion of join the military for 4 years, you get a lifetime of benefits. You can have a lifetime of memories and a lifetime of just travel. I know a lot of folks that did 4 years, got out. I mean, if you joined out of high school, 18 to 22, 22, you might think you're grown, but you're not. I
No.
mean, I think, I think Vic, you were a 21-year-old sergeant. I was a 21-year-old sergeant. We thought we were ruling the world and everything like that, right? But if I'd gotten out after 4 years, that would have been amazing. The memories that I made from 18 to 22, it's great. I extended it for another contract and made even more memories, right?
No.
But if folks decide not to join the military, that's perfectly fine as well, right? But there's veterans out there or folks that want to join. If you're even thinking about it, talk to a vet. That way, you can kind of get a real idea of what it's like. I think good. I mean, in all seriousness, I think it's all good. It builds character. I mean, you got your
Yeah.
parents that build you to who you are, but I think military can kind of grow you up very quickly. If you go to college, that's awesome. 18, 19-year-olds should make mistakes, and 20-year-olds should make mistakes, just like we did. But it's a different level of, there is no room for error when you're 18, 19. And those folks that joined and, as an infantryman or whoever and immediately got deployed,
Yeah.
there's just a different level. And it
So
grows you up
Jeremy,
very, very quickly,
I like what you just mentioned. You mentioned to talk to a vet, you get an idea what it's like. Okay, now reverse that, right? Talk to a civilian who's been there, who is now a civilian who has been there in uniform, to
Mm-hmm.
find out what it's really like, right? And that was like my fault, and that's a lot of fault of folks who are transitioning out. Like, hey, man, I don't know how to work this VA system. I don't know how to work this, work that. Hey, talk to somebody who's been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about networking. LinkedIn is. I never really thought too much about LinkedIn,
Me neither. I wasn't
and
a big fan of it at first.
yeah, I thought it was just a Facebook for suit and ties, right?
For
That's all.
sure.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And nothing about LinkedIn, but it seems like a lot of people are just like boasting about themselves on there, right? And that's what I thought it was. I was like, oh, it's
New
people just
position,
kind of,
and then you've got
yeah,
everyone, congrats, right? But I
right,
mean,
right.
yeah.
All good, right? And as I
Yeah.
learned more about it, I mean, there's LinkedIn Learning, there's networking, there's people that I've met on these things, people that I've actually gone to like these organizations meetings. So it definitely is a great tool, and it took me a little while to learn that. And had I had used it effectively when I was in uniform and on my way out, uh, I would have been in a way better position. I mean, not to say that I'm not in a good position now, but it's taken a little bit more work than I anticipated. But things like that, like networking, talking to folks who have been there and done that, that is probably one of the most effective tools for folks who are getting out, I think.
No, I agree. I mean, before I became a real estate agent, there was an interest there, and then you got your shows, you got your magazines, you see stuff from the outside, but what's it really like? And I talked to many folks before I even did it. I think I got attached to a brokerage pretty much right when I got my license, but it's because talking with folks, I knew exactly where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do when I decided to get that license. Which, by the way, the VA can reimburse some of the licensing tests,
Mhm.
the cost for it. So there's one of those. You're right. Talk with folks and build relationships with folks. Because talking about LinkedIn and our opinion about it, I don't have that opinion anymore because you're sharing your story. And I did used to think, you're just boasting about your position, or you're just trying to market yourself, or you're just trying to get people. Like and pulling the curtain back a little bit, when I got a link, I shared it with some folks that I might be on here speaking, but I never want to come across as, look at me do this, look at this recognition, right? But that's what I thought LinkedIn was. But that's another way that you can connect with people in your area, people in your industry, If you're a
Yep.
vet, there's veteran groups. I mean, Facebook too has some groups, but there's, sometimes there's a lot of spam in there. And but I think that's where LinkedIn has kind of it's buttoned up, so to speak, where you're going to come across a lot of people in your industry, and there's just a far-reaching net there across the country. And you talk about, well, if you do want to move to Maine, if you do decide that, bless your heart. But I'm sure there's folks in Maine that, hey, what's it really like living there? And I'm sure you're going to visit there. Let's see what it's really.
Ask questions prior to.
Yeah, and I think that's where sometimes veterans, and we talked about this last night, the one thing I hate seeing is like the homeless veterans. There's zero reason whatsoever for veterans to be homeless. But there could be some fear. Who do I ask? Where do I go? They have no idea some direction. The websites you were showing earlier, that's an amazing thing where you can just direct somebody. Yeah, it's a lot of information, but at least it's a starting point to, here's a direction, here's something, here's a starting point that you can go to.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and it's funny. Again, it all kind of revolves around networking and reaching out. I think the platform, like no matter what platform you go on, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, if it's still around after 90 days, any of these platforms, YouTube, like wherever you go, you're generally going to see like all kinds of stuff, right? And really, I think people have this perspective of like, oh yeah, the platform is pushing this stuff to me and the algorithm is pushing this stuff to me. It's not really the case. Like, I'll give you a quick example. Like, my wife will pull up a video on my YouTube and it'll be some video of something that I'm not really normally watching. It's something that she's checking out. It might be like some kind of cooking for some kind of thing, or maybe looking at some kind of different fashion thing or something like that, or something interesting that she's interested in, and it'll automatically start feeding me that stuff as soon as that video is played. So it's the same with Facebook and LinkedIn.
He has a YouTube channel, and he's on my YouTube account. So anytime I go to like search, I'm like, what are these basketball videos showing up? And like, oh well, yeah, search it. But then TikTok and all that stuff, I get fearful of like clicking on stuff because that'll be my feed for the next 2 to 3 days. But a lot. I mean, it's the stuff. It's the stuff that you look at yourself. So don't blame the algorithm.
But you can definitely use the platforms to. I mean, we've built this podcast literally off the back of LinkedIn in a lot of cases, right? We've literally done so much outreach through LinkedIn, connected with people on LinkedIn, figured out different groups to follow and different people to follow, and kind of like been enveloped in these different organizations, and it just keeps expanding and expanding. And that's literally us doing work on LinkedIn, looking for specific things, reaching out to folks, commenting on people's stuff, doing that pretty much on a daily basis. And it just, it's a lot of effort. Not really. It's a few minutes of effort every day, 20, 30 minutes, an hour of effort every day. But at the end of the day, like, that continual effort may result in nothing. It may result in, a new podcast guest. It may result in some kind of collaboration with an organization. Like, any of these things are possible. And that's really, like, I guess kind of the underlying point is the tools are there. Yes, you're going to see all kinds of stuff you don't want to see. Just ignore it. Just like ignore it. Go past it. You have to have the discipline, the self-discipline. And hopefully, if you've been in the military long enough, you've got a little bit of self-discipline where you can kind of stave off those kind of things and pay attention to what you need to pay attention to in order to get to your goals, and to stay focused on what you're focused on. What you mentioned that I really, really want to touch on is finding that focus. Hopefully you found it before you got out of the military. I don't know the case, but I had a very similar kind of thing that I had to go through with myself, with my kids, going through a divorce and all that stuff, and trying to figure out what exactly was my goal in life, what does success look like for me. And success for me looked like trying to spend as much time with my kids, trying to put them first, trying to, at some point, even having to weigh between, do I get out and move back over and spend time with them, be closer to them, or do I stay in and finish out my 3 or 4 or 5 years or whatever, and then retire and then move. So I think you can actually set those kind of focuses really, really early before you make the move out of the military. And that way you've got an anchor point, so that once you get your 214 and you walk out of the processing center and you're like, okay, I'm a civilian, and nobody gives a shit anymore because you're a civilian now. And I think that really helps a lot.
I forgot to mention the tap and TAMPS class that I took. It was a week long, and I've seen your post saying that it's like 3 days. Some stations aren't even offering it anymore. Resume building was huge. How do I transition? You can't just go in, like if you're a guy that works in the armory, you can't just write on your resume, hey, I handle weapons all day long, right? Like, how do you transition that into something, in the civilian world,
Got to
right?
wordsmith it, man. You got to
Yeah,
wordsmith
you can
it,
in certain neighborhoods in Queens and Brooklyn, maybe.
Oh, well, yeah,
you got to wordsmith it.
You could.
Yeah.
Is that where you're originally from? Is Brooklyn?
No. Originally
Oh,
from St. Louis.
I
St.
thought I
Louis is
heard
worse.
like
Way
I
worse.
thought I heard a hard R.
So Jeremy, I want to real quick bring up something that you mentioned, the veteran homelessness. So I came up with this. I found this. I'm going to bring it on stage here. This site. I got to do some more digging on this, but the title just kind of drew me into this page. A year into the new initiative, Denver no longer has any homeless veterans living on the street, mayor says. And I just kind of skimmed through this earlier, and I got to do some research on this. But it says the way this was executed was through a system that quickly identifies veterans experiencing homelessness, connects them to services, and helps them get housed. Since the summer of 2024, more than 100 veterans have been identified and brought inside. It just goes on, and I really want to find out what this program is that they put in place, man, because there's if they can do it, and Denver's not a small city, from what I understand. I've never been out there, but if they can do it, I mean, they could probably bring it over to other cities like, Atlanta or San Diego or LA or something like that. But again, more research to come on this, because this seems like a good initiative if Denver actually did something like this.
No, yeah, and I mentioned that because, like I said, there's just so many benefits out there for veterans, and it's one of the sadder things that you've got a city like Denver who's kind of taking an initiative. Then you've got some other cities that not just homelessness, but veteran homelessness, right? What are you doing to clean up the streets? What are you doing to help folks get in, get back on their feet? There's that movie that, what is it? The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith.
That's right.
He had his focus point. It was his son, right? And but when you have support like that, like an entire city, that's great to hear. I mean, a year into a new initiative, no longer has homelessness. That's awesome. I'd love to know what program that is, and it's one of those situations where if they can do that, let's replicate that into different.
100%, man, 100%. So I'm gonna put this on my bookmarks here because I'm gonna read a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
I talk a lot to the folks here at the this on the city side, my local city folks here, and they're building up new things for like veterans and like veteran initiatives, and I'm kind of involved in stuff like that. So if I can bring up something here to the local government, I think it would something that they're not currently doing. Maybe they need to do it at a grander scale. I don't know, but if Denver can do it, I don't see why nobody else can't do it.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a really cool program. Whatever program they got going on there is, it's awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
And it makes me wonder if they're using, like maybe because there is a program where it's called like a HUD program.
That's right.
Looking at a house, but you had to qualify for it. It's like a HUD improvement property where they're trying to improve that little. It was a city run, but they're trying to improve that little pocket of the city.
Right.
You can't make basically they put limits on your income. They put limits on the type of house it is. I mean, this is the house that we're putting in, and you got to meet these qualifications, these eligibilities. So I wonder if they're using HUD at all.
No idea, man. Yeah, I mean, this is something I'm going to look into. Awesome. Maybe they use Jeremy Dukes as their realtor to get stuff done.
Oh, maybe. I would hope nobody's profiting off of homelessness. I mean,
Hell no.
By all means, I'd love to help somebody. That kind of feeling where, I mean, I had my feeling where I never thought I was going to own a home, but I was still under a roof. I was renting, right? Paying 100% interest on somebody else's mortgage, right? But to have somebody, I'm just picturing it now. Like if you are a real estate agent and you're helping someone like a homeless person and they are
Right.
crying in front of you, I probably would tear up. Just a couple things like that would tear me up. Like, like the ending in Armageddon, that stuff. He's talking to his daughter. That gets me every time. But stuff like that, sincerely, it hits home. It really does hit home that
Yeah.
these folks are literally living under the sun. And the freeze that we had, I mean, I know California is kind of immune to bad weather. That was one thing I loved about San Diego.
No, man. It's been 37 here in the mornings, man. It's been freaking cold.
I was getting
It
ready
was
to
like
ask,
ice on my windshield.
yeah, did you get affected by some of the cold that was coming through? I mean, just the other day, it was like 0. And I think about it. I'm like, man, if I'm driving and I see somebody sleep, I mean, how do they survive? Think about their survival,
Yeah, man. That's rough to think about, man. There's only so many things we can do here, but I mean, it has to be like funded programs, right? Like if I had a blanket to give everybody, like a poncho liner or something like that to give somebody on the street, I would, man. But I only have so many things,
Right.
and I got to think about my family too. That's the rough part.
Yeah. So I think with that, they're probably using some sort of program, some sort of HUD, but that's awesome that's there.
Yeah, man. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, we talked a little bit about the egg stuff earlier, and I came across this other. Where the hell is it? Where'd I save this thing? It was. Damn, I can't find it now. It was like the price of things that are going to go up now. Like avocado. I love avocados, man. And
because of the tariffs?
Yeah, because of tariffs, man. I'm like, man, that makes I understand things need to happen, but shit, man, that makes me a little sad. I don't want to pay $5 for an avocado. I might have to start jumping some fences here and go to the neighbor's house because they got some avocado trees and
that might be what that's the hidden message. Let's start naturally growing things in your backyard in America.
Is that what it is? Is that what it is?
Know.
This is a way for us to network now as a community. Hey, you don't want to pay for eggs. Hey, go get to know your local farmer now.
Go get to know your local farmer, your neighbor, right? Bring everybody together.
One big happy family, huh?
Maybe they're trying to ration. I myself, I could probably lose 20 pounds. Maybe I should start rationing eggs so I can lose a little bit of weight.
Dog, you and me both, man. You and me both.
I've been saying that for 10 years now, though, so it's fine.
It's taken me 10 years to lose like 2 pounds, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we're not young Marines no more. I mean, once you become a chief officer, you just get lazy. Isn't that the case, right?
Oh my God! What do you think, John? What do you think?
Yeah, totally. That's why that's what was the thing. We put the hat on our desk, and then we leave the hat on our desk, so people think we're actually in the office, but we're actually out screwing around.
Yeah, because nobody.
Well, I don't know. I saw his hat on the desk, so he's got to be around here somewhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
You know what it is, man. It's we don't show up to formations because we're out PTing or something, doing something with our time. That's what it was. I get text, hey, sir, where you at? We got a formation. I'm like, hey, I'll be there when I be there. I'm out.
Got a handful of zip ties. I'm trying to take care of something right now. Just hold on a minute. I'll be there in a minute.
I love when the text comes through. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working. You're always working. Yeah, I know. I'm always working. What you need?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the chief and officer mindset. Hey, I'm always working. What you need?
That's it, man. People need something from you.
You're like I used to touchable, like kind of like a first sergeant. Nobody really wants to get on the bad side.
No, that's like, funny. I used to put this sign on my door. It was funny. It was people used to come to my door all the time. Hey, hey, sir, I got a quick question. So I was getting like nothing done.
Yeah.
And I would put on there. I was like, hey, only answering questions from this time to this time, right? So that's it, man. I'm like
questions.
Yeah. Aside from that, I was like, hey, shoot me an email. I put it on my tasker. If I don't like it, I'm going to delete this shit. So that's what it is. So I'm actually thinking about implementing now that everything's going like return to work and all that.
Yeah.
In my job, I might implement that again. Like, hey, only answering questions from this time to this time because people are coming knocking your door. Take your time away from you, right? You got things you got going on.
Yeah.
So I might have to implement that again.
It's funny. Quick questions come across all the time. Hey, Jeremy, quick question. Or somebody asked me a question. They're like, are you personally getting sued by the NAR, which is, the National Association for Realtors? They had that civil lawsuit that's out, that was settled last year. One of my clients, first time home buyer, again, bless his heart. He's eager. He's got a lot of questions. It's awesome though, because I love it. He's involved. He's engaged. But one question: are you personally getting sued? No, I'm fine. We're good. It's not. That's not going to affect your transaction. We're good. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Damn.
But and then we go. He wants every detail about everything, which is awesome, which is great. But yeah, there's no such thing as a quick question. But
No.
I mean, you can give him a quick answer, right? No.
Right.
I
Yes.
could. Like with my kids, I always, Dad, can I ask you a question? I'm like, you can ask me whatever you want. Just you might not like the answer.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to this. Let me see if I can find it. I was at the VA the other day.
Yeah.
And hold on, let me find this thing.
Well, you're
VA
finding
the
it.
other day,
I
and
want to give a shout out to two of our listeners, two of our long-term watchers. I hope long-term watchers. Multi-Slacker has been filling up the chat today. Sorry if we didn't put everything on there. We've kind of been dedicated to the conversations. I'll throw two more up there. Sally Vella, am I saying that right? Vella?
Sounds good
Shout
to me.
out to you. Thank you for paying attention, listening, and chiming in. Lots of comments in the chat. We don't have to answer that, I don't think. not
I really don't know.
by it, no.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
And of course, your average logical thinker. Shout out to you.
Yeah, back on with us again. Yeah.
Thank you for coming by. We had MP up there, so yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, I want to give a shout. I was at the VA the other day getting some stuff done. Blood work, as we all need to do that. And I overheard this gentleman talking to another gentleman about a nonprofit that he runs. And both veterans, right? And I asked him, I was like, excuse me, sir, I overheard you talking about a nonprofit. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? He's like, yeah, it's called, and I'll bring it up on the screen here. It's called One Piece Please, OPP, right? Not to be confused with the 90s rap.
Right.
Yeah.
It went through my head. What?
In this case, we are done with OPP, right? So
Right.
one piece, please. All right. So it's cleaning up beaches and communities one piece at a time. And I think he mentioned this coming February, some weekend. I can't recall what it was. I'm sure it's somewhere on here on his site. They're going to be cleaning up Ocean Beach. Actually, that's him right there in the middle. It looks like him, at least. He's going to be cleaning up Ocean Beach, not too far away from where I am. And, I'm thinking about going out there and helping out, lending a helping hand. But just want to give him a shout out. Yeah, here it is. No, this is not. This is August 12th. Somewhere around here. I don't know if he has it uploaded. Anyway, yeah, they do beach cleanups. And the idea behind it is if one person picks up one piece of trash, then we will all be in a better place. So trash bags are provided, snacks provided, just look for their tent. SSV, I believe it is. The SV tent. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Patrick from One Piece Please. We connected at the VA, and it's all about establishing networks, man. And we really appreciate you.
No, that's really cool. That's not necessarily veteran specific. Veterans can connect with anybody. Civilians can connect with anybody. And then doing something like that, just getting out and socializing. I think we touched on it a little bit here. Socializing is powerful, man. It can change your mood. It can motivate you. Before here, this morning, I was talking with a different buddy of mine where I wanted to get the mouth moving, the words are coming out where I speak. And then, a lot of public speakers, when you're publicly speaking, you're trying to get the first little nerves out. Maybe put you in a different type of mood where, because he was talking about something that we were kind of debating back and forth, but it got my mind clicking, right? And stuff like that where you're just meeting new people. It can really kind of change your whole atmosphere.
And that's tough to do sometimes because you have, you're so involved in yourself, like not involved in yourself, but you're kind of introverted, right? You're in your own little box. And for a while, I had a lot of trouble coming out and like giving presentations, talking to people, going to public forums, things like that. And it's just repetition. And it's that saying that we had in the Marine Corps, and I'm sure other services have it, know yourself and seek self-improvement. And that's exactly what I did. I understood that I was I guess I had a fault, or I was missing this one piece of myself, which was, the ability to get out and speak to people, network, things like that. So I took it upon myself to go to, what is it called? Toastmasters International, right? Where you go up and they make you get up and public speak, right? It's a public speaking club, if you will. And I thank them for that. And when I was stationed in Hawaii, it was great. You go out there and you go up and introduce yourself, give a 2-minute introduction of yourself. And it's scary as hell because you're in a room full of people and everybody's just kind of watching you. But their idea of it is, nobody's judging you. I mean, it's your first time. Go up there and introduce yourself, and then you play games. Like it was my week to run the Toastmaster thing, the meeting. So I brought in a bag, and we did this at the staff academy at one point. When I was in Okinawa, I filled a bag full of random things, and people had to get up there, put their hand in the bag without looking, and pull something out, and then talk about it for 2 minutes. And it was like the toughest thing that you could do. Like I had like a little mini football in there. I had a highlighter, just like rubber bands, just random things in there.
Right.
And, but it was so fun, and it kind of gets you out of that shell. Right. And then that's great for like networking too, because you don't want to be the person at like an event, kind of sitting in the corner, just kind of waiting for somebody to come up to you. You want to go up and like, hey, look, how you doing? My name is so-and-so. Yep. Here's what I do, and once you get the hang of that, man, it's so fun. Right. But at the same time, it's a little bit like overwhelming too. If you're an introvert getting out of that shell, you need time to kind of like time to yourself afterwards. Cause you need you feel like you need to recharge.
I promise you that New York City conference tested my social skills. I mean, it was just 10 hours of just networking. I got there Tuesday night. So, go down to the hotel bar and just kind of see who's around, see who I can meet and connect with. And I was like, all right, that was nice. Had a few drinks, went back. Next morning, it was balls to the wall. Like you're just talking with vendors and lenders and banks and people that want to help agents out and different companies. And and then Wednesday night, more socializing, right? But Wednesday during the day, when I just kind of stepped away. My social battery was drained. But again, even with that kind of the kind of experience that I have as public speaking, it was still fearful. I mean, just walking up to a booth, I thought I was going to get sold something, but getting back to kind of publicly speaking and judging, and there's a fear. Like, have no fear in introducing yourself. Hey, I'm Jeremy. This is it. Or hey, I'm Victor. This is that. This is what I do. This is what I'm about. This is what I'm doing. And they have this. There's this social experiment that's out there. I think I saw it on Instagram. Where a guy, he's in New York. He's walking around back and forth. And like step one is just, how you doing? That's it. And you just keep walking, right? Step two is kind of like, and I could be getting the steps wrong, but step two is engaging, where how you doing? And you're like fist bumping them, right? Or shit. Right. Step three would be like you're giving a compliment to somebody, right? Hey, your outfit looks really good. And with the entire intent of solely, you're not trying to pick anybody up or anything like that, but solely giving a true compliment. Hey, I like how that looks on you. Hey, I like how your hair looks today. Hey, have a great day, right? And he goes through these like 4 or 5 steps. And I'm like, that's a really cool social experiment. You're just walking, talking to strangers, giving them random compliments. You might not ever see those people again, but it's not helping them. It's helping you kind of get out of your shell a little bit. Right. Talking to people and giving compliments. That compliment, they could be having a bad day, and you just made their day. Yeah. I saw that. I went up to a guy in the gym and I just said, hey man, I've been watching. Came off a little weird, but hey man, I've seen your progress. I mean, he's kind of a bigger dude, but like a year later, he looks almost 50 pounds lighter. And I went up to him and he was working out with his wife. And I said, hey man, I've seen your progress, man. You're doing great, right? I don't even know the guy's name, but I just it's one of those things where no fear. Have no fear with what you're doing, what you're about, or just yourself. And veterans can sometimes forget where they came from and forget what they did have a purpose, and now you just got to carry it on to another thing.
It's funny you mentioned the fear thing, because I was just reading this. I got this little book called Motivation Manifesto.
Yeah.
And it had a whole chapter on here on the cost of fear. And where is it? I was just reading this thing, man. It was so good. I underlined it.
That's funny.
Fear is the human motive of aversion. fear was given to us as a motive to avoid physical harm and death. That is it. So like taking it back to like caveman days, right? Fear. You know,
Yeah.
you're running away from like, I don't know, a saber-tooth tiger or some trash.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I did that last week.
Is that right? Yeah. So it says when someone says I'm fearful of public speaking, they do not mean that they are worried someone in the audience is going to attack them physically. Rather, they mean they are afraid of failure.
Yeah. Yeah. That fear of failure is huge. The fear is huge too. Fear of failure. Some people are fearful of success. They won't know what to do with it when they have it in front of them. Kind of like
Right.
the dog chasing the dump truck. It wants to get the dump truck, but what is it going to do when you get there? When you actually catch a dump truck? The
Right.
dog in that case. So I mean, again, live your life like you have no fear, like you have no worries, right? Everything will be all right because I mean, every day that passes, you made it through another day.
Yeah.
And
And I don't know about you, but as I get older, I feel like I have less fear. Like I give less F's,
oh yeah,
if you will.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I could care. I mean, I could care less. I mean, my buddy's gonna kill me for saying it that way. He says I couldn't care less, but whatever.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I ain't
There,
care.
there's no bottom. There's no bottom left to give. You know.
Yeah, exactly. But the kid, talking about memories. We got a cruise coming up. This will probably be their third or fourth cruise. These kids.
Mhm.
And you go on there and you just have a good time. And I think the first time, well, I went was a teenager, but first time I brought the kids, I was like really worried. Like I was kind of like being like that helicopter dad, making sure they were all right. But
Yeah.
2 or 3 days in, it was just like, you know what? Let them go. Let them have fun. David scared me the first time. He slid down a slide. And I thought he broke his ankle, and I'm like, hey, he was okay. He ended up having his little bruise or whatever. But it's just living with no fear, kid, veteran, adults, you and I, and us three. It's like have no fear. Don't care what people necessarily think, because if you have your own morals that you can stand on, and you're speaking truth about whatever you're speaking about, or the cause, like that guy picking up trash. That's something that means something to him. Maybe I noticed he had a picture surfing, so he probably is a surfer. Probably,
Yeah.
The beach is being taken care of is something that he's passionate about, and that's great. But
That is. Yeah.
everything will always work itself out. As far as speaking or your success, or I tell my losing weight. Am I ever going to lose these 20 pounds? I don't know. It don't matter. Just keep going, day by day.
Awesome, man. Well, Jeremy, man, it was great having you on the podcast, dude. And you definitely spit out some great information, some stuff on the VA loans and how life has been going for you since you left the military. I really do appreciate you sharing your journey and your story, man.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Not trying to come across as an expert, as you politely gave me.
Well, you know more than me about VA loans, so that makes you an expert in my eyes.
I appreciate that. I'm just here to help folks, whether it be in real estate goals or veteran goals. This was kind of a huge, awesome coincidence that you and I connected something like this. So really appreciate you guys having me on.
Awesome. We appreciate you, man.
Is there anything that we maybe didn't cover, maybe we missed, anything that was kind of written down on your notepad that you wanted to talk about real quick that maybe we haven't talked about yet? Anything as far as like closing comments and also where people can find you online if you want to point them there?
Yeah, I mean, I told Vic this last night. I don't want to come across as an overshadowing of your guys' purpose in your show. Jeremy Dukes, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. It's at the JA Dukes. That's on Instagram. And then, through this forum as well. If you need to contact me, by all means, Instagram, LinkedIn is probably the best way to contact me right now. But the last thing as far as real estate is ending it, since we were talking about fear. There's a lot of fear of buying a house. There's a lot of fear of selling a house, right? There's nothing wrong with information. I'm not going to tell you to buy a house you don't want, or sell a house that you've been wanting to hang on to because you have a low interest rate, or you can't force anybody to do anything or pressure anybody. Information is powerful, right? And it's where you get your information and how it can sincerely come across. If you got an agent that's just trying to, if he's in this industry, or anybody, if you're in the HOA management industry, or if you're in the auto parts industry for the money, That line will get crossed where you're gonna have to make a decision. Do I care more about the money? Do I care more about my client? And I think if you truly are trying to help folks, then it'll come across as sincere. And have no fear in asking for information. Have no fear in reaching out. I give people market analyses all the time just because that's information that I can create, and it gives them kind of an idea where they sit with their house, with their value, with their equity that they have.
Right.
So I wouldn't say have no fear in selling, have no fear in buying, but have no fear in gaining information and making sure you're protected. So I appreciate you guys having me on. Really, this is really a really cool forum that you guys are doing. So
No, we thank you, man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Y'all take care.
You too. That was good, man. I learned a couple things about VA loans and stuff, man. I just I've used mine a couple times, but I just don't know the inner workings of it. You know, I didn't know that you can use it twice. You know, and for the same. You know, if you're in one house, you can't use it for another house. I was fully ready to use it for another place out here, but you know, I guess I have to use my wife's or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I would dig into it. There's a lot of probably also state to state is a little bit different, and also lender to lender is a little bit different. But I guess the overarching VA rules or what kind of give you the guidelines, you just go on va.gov and you can hunt down that information as well, and then reach out to a realtor or a agent or somebody in your area who has understanding of the VA loan process. And even then, you're still going to have to do some research. I had to do some research when I used my VA loan for my house a few years ago,
Yep.
and I had to actually do market research and pull up, you know, code analysis of the property and like all kinds of stuff that I had to send to the VA, even though they were only a couple hours away from where I was. So you definitely always be prepared to do your research. And if anybody ever figures out how to use the VA loan overseas, please reach out and let me know, because I'd like to have that option at some point, but I don't think it's going to be available to me. But yeah, one can dream.
We'll see. But now I'm glad you had mentioned or brought up that Veterans Benefit Knowledge Base site. It's excellent, man. I'm looking at it now. I got it bookmarked on my page or on my my browser. Excellent resource for folks who just have questions about veterans benefits and what they rate. Again, it has everything from VA disability compensations. It has every type of link right on here.
Yep.
It's got death survivor benefits. It's got education and employment, healthcare, housing, VA pension, miscellaneous, just everything, records, corrections. And I know there's a ton of people who want to get their stuff corrected. Maybe something's wrong in their DD-214. Records corrections here, space age flights, money matters, clothing allowances. Just a ton of great information, man. Like I love that the veteran community continues to help each other out, man. This is what it's all about. Just each one teach one, push out the knowledge as best as possible, and let's all just be knowledgeable on what we rate and the benefits that are available to us.
Yep, that's right. All kinds of benefits and all kinds of information. That's a great one-stop shop for veterans out there who are looking to figure out what they need or what's available to them or how they can get a hold of different organizations. It's really good resource. I'm going to spend a lot of my time digging through there and plugging it into ChatGPT and see if I can extract out all kinds of great stuff out of there. So, because I've got people asking me the same kind of questions about some of that stuff all the time locally here lately.
And I'm going to share the link here on the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Veterans benefits. It was KB. Okay, good. Yeah, we're getting a lot of questions in the chat. And I don't know if that I'm going to be bringing a lot of these on. Just got to understand, like, I don't. A lot of things, you know, we don't know the ins and outs of why people do things.
Yeah.
So I'll put it like that. It requires a little bit of research. What's that?
I said, we're not a government entity and we do not run the country.
No, exactly right. Exactly. So we don't know the reasons why people do things. We got the same information that everybody else out there does. You know, I have my opinions, and I don't know if this is the right forum for it, being that this is a military retirement and transition podcast. However, it also requires a little bit of research on my side to further educate myself on anything regarding DEI or anything regarding, the use of military force for anything not military force related. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yep. I mean, we appreciate everybody, and yeah, if you're in the comment section, keep it clean. Keep the mitts above the waist. What do they call it? Keep the punching above the waist, something like that. I don't know what it is. I'm not a boxer.
It's all good, man. People can have their opinions, and it's all good. We welcome that. I mean, we would not have our freedoms if that was the case. Keep asking questions. Keep asking questions, and us being veterans, maybe one day we will have a show regarding that. But as far as today, it was all about just we touched on it a little bit. With what's going on in America. What a couple of executive orders and. That's it. And talking about VA loans, bringing on a fellow veteran to talk about his experience, his knowledge, and I'd also like to put it out there. If there's any female veterans who are willing to share their story, talk a little bit about what they do, talk a little bit about their military to civilian journey, we're all ears. We'd love to have you on. We love to have veterans from every walk of life, no matter what service. We want to hear about your sacrifices. We want to hear about your journey. We want to hear about your successes and your failures and what brought you to where you are today.
Yep. And if you are looking, I mean, we're always reaching out to all kinds of folks, not just males. And maybe it seems like that, but if you look through our back catalog of podcast episodes, you'll see a ton of really inspiring female veterans, from senior enlisted to senior officers and everything in between, have come on the show. Folks from Hire Heroes USA have come on the show. A couple of them are veteran spouses and things like that. So we do try to spread the wealth, but we're a little bit at the mercy of who responds back and who actually wants to come on and who actually schedules and who comes here. So we work with
sometimes people schedule, sometimes they people schedule, they don't show up. Again, we're at the mercy of it, so it's all good. We're just gonna keep on plugging away. We appreciate everybody out there who's listened to us. If you have any suggestions for any topics, feel free to reach out to us on where are we? LinkedIn. We're on Facebook, or even submit a comment over at the on our YouTube channels as well. Military Retirement Podcast. We got the Green Logbook is my own personal YouTube channel where I share experiences and the journey. You can find us on Facebook on the Military Retirement Group. It's a group of veterans and retirees who just collaborate together, ask questions. Just a great group of folks who have a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge that share it amongst each other. Again, it's the Military Retirement Group on Facebook. Where else are we? We're all over the place.
We're all over the place. You can find us. Just look for the logo. You'll see us. You'll find us.
Yeah, exactly. But with that, we appreciate it. It was a great show. I appreciate it. I love spending time on Sundays talking about veteran stuff. I mean, shoot, we can do it every day if we want to, but Sundays is dedicated for that. So we appreciate everybody out there listening. I appreciate you, John, for spending time with me on veteran topics today. And we'll do it again next week.
All good, man.
All right,
everybody.
With that, out here.